Have you ever gone on a camping trip and forgotten to take your frying pan or your kettle to boil water in? Well, today I invited my friend Maurice Sullivan to come and build a fire and show us lots of ways that you can cook without pots and pans. Welcome to Hodgepodge Lodge, Sully. Oh, excuse me.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
You're going to do a lot more than show us how to cook without pots and pans, I see. You have all kinds of interesting foods from the wilds, like a tray full of nuts, and I saw some berries around here. What are you getting ready to do now?
Well, I'm going to cut this squash into small pieces and put it on here along with some meat, like a shish kebab, as they call that.
These are my friends Pam and Ricky.
Pam, glad to meet you. Ricky, nice to see you.
Have you ever had a shish kebab?
Yeah.
Cooked on a stick? Well, now there's one way to cook without pots and pans. Use a stick. And you can't just use any old stick, can you, Sully?
No, it's better to at least stay away from cherry. Cherry gives quite a taste. The maples are always good, and it's easy to tell maple because it's one of the three kinds of trees that has the twigs opposite, like the ears on your head, you see.
Let me show the children that.
And we only have three kinds of trees around here like that: the maples, the ashes, and the dogwoods. And neither one of them will give a taste to the food.
The opposite? Did you say like the ears on your head?
Yes. So
hey, that's a good way to remember. Your ears are opposite, and so are the branches on a maple.
We're going to cut those off in a minute when we put our steak on there.
So that's good to know. Opposite.
Okay.
And yes, Ricky?
Well, can't I get ashes on it?
Oh, Ricky's worried about the steak. Can you reassure him?
Yes, it'll get ashes on it, but the ashes are like salt. I mean, that's the mineral matter left, and it won't hurt you. As a matter of fact, it gives a little taste, and most of it will brush off.
Pam's worried about that, too. I can see that they have never cooked their steak that way.
It isn't the best way to do steak. It'll be a little brown in some places. As a matter of fact, I got to turn it. I think right now I'd better turn it.
One more thing about the stick. Besides being a good stick that doesn't have a bad flavor, it also has to be a green stick, right?
Right.
Have you ever tried to cook a marshmallow or a hot dog with a dead stick, and the stick just burns right in two, and there goes your food into the fire? Oh, see, that doesn't look so bad, does it?
Minerals, I mean, you pay extra money. You bought those down at the drugstore to get your extra minerals.
May we look at your tongs a minute?
See, I cut it there a little bit so it bend there on one side, you see.
How you like that? Tongs that you didn't have to buy. Nice green tongs. Is that maple too?
That's maple too, yes. And you may wonder where you cut this. I go along under these power lines and so forth. They cut every once in a while anyhow.
So you
don't go in some farmer's place, but some place they're going to cut, like along a telephone line or a power line. Or go where they're making a shopping center or a house, and they cut down things and bulldoze them up, and you can always find things.
That would be good. You could get hot corn out of a kettle.
Yes,
that way. But you'd have to change every now and then. You couldn't use this for a lifetime.
Oh, no. As a matter of fact, they're so simple. You throw it away and you're through with it.
Your corn's burning.
Okay, we better turn it a little bit. Oh, no, that's not burning. That's just getting good now.
That's parched, right?
Yes. That'll have a nice popcorn taste to it.
Now tell us about this special fire that you...
I like it
that's
nice
just right.
and fresh.
You notice there are no flames there, children?
Yeah.
No flames. A lot of people think you have to have flames to cook.
You need good, hard, dry wood, like oak or beech. Hickory is the best you can get. Maple is good.
Yeah, but if you use wet wood, it can put out the fire.
Well, it'd get a lot more smoke than heat, too. And it'd affect me more than anything else. The smoke really wouldn't hurt anything, give a little more taste to it. But you wouldn't want to use willow, because the smoke from willow, it makes your eyes just burn. But beech, this is beech there. Notice the smooth gray bark on it, like this chopping block there. You see, it has that smooth gray bark.
And how long before you need the fire do you need to start?
Oh, it depends on the size of the wood. See, I cut my wood, split it about the same size, about 2 to 3 inches across. So it'll all more or less burn down. And I stack it like this, like a log cabin. And then it all more or less burns down at the same time. In the center, I put a little pyramid to start it of my fine stuff, my bark, my leaves, and fuzz stick and so forth. And then I build this log cabin. Then it all more or less burns down at the same time. But you need to have all your wood about the same size, too.
And about half an hour?
Not more than that. Depends on the breeze. If it's real breezy, it burn down a lot faster than otherwise, you see. And how much wood you have on there, how big a fire you want, a number of things like that. Now, we can do corn like that. We can also throw our corn right in like that, too, and do it. The outside will kind of burn, there are
You're still cooking the inside.
Yes, yes.
And you don't eat the outside anyway. You just throw that away.
No.
And Here's something that a lot of people use for their corn.
Yeah,
And
aluminum
potato-
foil.
aluminum foil.
They rip the outside part off and
And
throw that
wrap it
away,
up.
and they wrap the corn inside there, and then they put it in.
Now this does a good job, but can you think of some things?
It burns it.
Oh, right. And when you throw your corn husks away, what happens to them? They turn back into the soil, don't they? They're biodegradable. Do you know that word?
Yeah, but before they put the corn in, just wrap it up and put it in, they put the butter on it first.
Right, right. Aluminum foil is nice, but there are a few things you have to worry about what do you do with it after you're through cooking.
What do you do for plates?
Well, I'm sure Sully has some ideas about that.
Plate? Well, you don't really. What do you need a plate for?
To put the stuff on.
No, you just take it in your hands and eat it. I suspect my steak is getting about done here. So,
Well, just remember, if you take your aluminum foil on a camping trip, bring it home with you and put it in your trash can. Don't leave it out in the woods to get scattered around and wreck the environment.
of course, if you are really worried about a plate, you just take a piece of bark.
Well, there you are, Pam. A nice birch bark plate.
Lay that out there on that warm rock so it'll keep warm there.
Did I see you put some rocks in that fire?
Yes, yes.
Oh, and oh,
To keep the fire in.
well.
They help hold the fire, that's right. But also something else.
Oh, water. Is that water?
Well, you know what that water is in?
Yeah,
A cricket.
yeah, cricket, she'd better get away.
Let me do
What do you think that is there?
Stop it.
Look at that. What do you think that is?
A pebble.
Now listen.
I know, it's so hot. It's so hot. It brings the steam up because it's hot, and it mixes in with coal, and that cools it down.
Good, Rick. Do you think you could take that little pan that he's made out of a gourd and put it right on the fire? What would happen if you put this on the fire?
Let me see.
It would catch on fire because it's dry. So.
Can you see that bubbling there boiling?
No. Bring it over here. Oh, I see it. Wow. Put a rock in.
Rock's in there, still boiling.
Oh, listen to that.
You
And
know what it
you
sounds
can
like?
see it? What does it sound like?
Volcano.
It's probably a lot like the volcano. What's going on in there?
No,
Steam's
it's
coming in.
like lava.
Volcanoes have hot rocks in them and steam.
Yeah, hot lava.
That's good,
That's
Ricky.
what it sounds like.
Isn't that amazing that it's hot enough to make the water boil, but not hot enough to catch the gourd on fire? The poor cricket's going swimming.
Well, you see, that gourd doesn't get any hotter than the hot water, which is 212 degrees, and the gourd won't burn to about 450 or 500 degrees.
If you put it down, what'll happen?
It'll just cool off.
Well, you see, we'd have several rocks. We'd have to put more rocks in there.
If you put it in some other kind of water, cold water, what'll happen?
You put the rocks in the water. Well, there's still enough heat in those rocks to warm up some more water, I think.
Well, you wait till those get cold, and then you put more rocks. You have quite a few in there, you see.
Now, what would you need hot water for if you're out in the woods? What could you do? What would you?
You know, to cool the rocks down, because you can use them again.
Right, but now that we have all this nice hot water, what could we do with it?
Wash your hands.
Right, take a bath. How about having a cup of tea?
Yeah.
Or soup, or something like that. And there's how you get water.
How about cooking squash in there?
Why not?
Or some of these little potatoes, these little small potatoes.
Oh, your potatoes are really
Aren't those
great.
pretty things?
Did you ever see red potatoes?
No.
I thought they were crab apples.
Me too.
Did you raise these yourself?
No, I got those from a neighbor. But they're so nice. I eat them skins and all, you know.
I've heard that down in South America they have blue potatoes and purple potatoes.
Yes.
Oh,
All colors of
yeah, I've
potatoes.
seen the blue ones before.
But
yeah, I've seen the blue ones.
May we drop one of these in here and see what happens?
yes, but it isn't hot enough.
Probably
Now,
not.
yeah, sure, you can drop it in
Yeah,
there.
drop
But
it
that,
in.
see, that isn't quite boiling now. We'd have to take those rocks out and put in more hot rocks. Well, I don't know how many I've got in there. You want another rock in there?
About 3 in there.
Well, we're going to have to take those out
Yeah.
because they've lost most of their heat. That's still quite hot.
All without putting anything on the fire. That's amazing.
I could do that in this birch bark cup, you know, too.
Oh, isn't that neat?
That's genuine Indian made. See, there's water in there. Holds water.
Would you like a little drink out of a birch bark cup? Pretend for a minute that you're... Oh, don't look at it like that, Rick. It's perfectly good. It just has a few ashes in it.
No, that hasn't been on the fire.
I think a few blew over from the fire.
Well, that's good for him.
Yeah,
That
let me
boosts
hold
minerals.
this.
All right.
Now put a rock in here.
Well,
We don't have that many rocks. I didn't.
Cold water.
this is what maybe Aurora would like a drink out of a birch bark cup.
Can I do it?
Do you want a rock in there?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, let me
Sure.
hold it.
No,
Well,
I don't think
it's
you
a
better
little,
hold
it's
it.
a little dangerous.
Yes,
Where,
that's.
where can we set it? Right there, and watch this thing come up. That's a big rock.
Wow.
Now there's your hot water, all ready to put in your tea.
Or soup.
Now
Or
we're going to
soup.
turn this corn over. You see, this one's probably pretty well done.
And if that's a stick you
We'll
can
turn
cook.
that around. You see, like that. Turn the other side.
When you go camping and you put things like that, you have to learn how to eat it.
Right. That's why it's good to start young, Ricky. If you're used to eating with plates and knives and forks,
You have
and
to
when
learn not to eat.
you
You
learn
know,
how,
if you're hungry enough, it wouldn't bother you at all.
you have to learn to feel comfortable. I mean, you can pretend you're an Indian, and try to think back in the old days when they didn't have all this fancy stuff we have nowadays.
Yeah, they did it like that. They didn't have plates and forks. They just took like a stick, and what they want to eat, they use
Right,
a stick.
they looked around where they lived and found the things that were good to eat. Now, all these things that Sully has
You
in
can
this
eat
dish
these.
are good to eat,
And you
except
can make pie out of this, walnut pie.
good walnut cake I've had too. And
That's
Sully brought all these different kinds of nuts so you could see the differences.
Yeah, but you have to sit these out and let them dry.
Be sure and show them one that's poisonous there.
All
Miss
right,
Jean.
yeah,
You sit them out and let them dry.
right, and then
you cook them.
you crack them and get the
Yeah.
nuts out. Now here's a black walnut that just came off the tree and it has this soft hull on it. Reach over and feel that.
Oh, yeah.
Soft hull, and you have to
You know, at my school, they have the whole thing full of walnuts.
Oh, great. And you have to check and be sure. Not all black walnut trees have really good nuts inside. But when the hull comes off and you get a dry nut like this, then you crack it and eat it.
You don't always need to wait for these to dry.
Now, that's the one that isn't good to eat, Rick. I'm glad you picked that out. See, we have a nice collection here, and you have to know which ones are good. And
It
which
has
ones
that eye on
These
there.
are
That's
the
how
good
it gets.
ones.
There you go.
See, it has that big spot on it there on one side, and the rest
Right.
of them have that.
And do you know, I just learned the other day how these got the name of buckeye. But you've probably known that for years, because it looks like a buck's eye.
Yeah, sure. A buck is a male deer, of course.
Right, see, you can put it in your eye and pretend it's a deer's eye, a buck's eye, So I didn't know that till just the other day. Someone showed me that.
Now my fire, you see, I need a little more fire down on this end now because I had it on a mistake. So I just take a green stake and work it down here.
Yeah.
And then I turn that over.
Right. And the nice thing about these nuts is you don't have to cook them to eat them.
Right.
You can hear this.
Yeah, that's a filbert in there. No, excuse me, that isn't a filbert, that's an acorn. And the Indians ate a lot of acorns. And these are butternuts. They're another kind of walnut called white walnut or butternut.
We've got chestnuts here, sort of like...
Yeah, they're like the buckeyes, but they're good to eat.
What kind of nut is this?
That's a special acorn. Where are you going, Aurora? Here,
What kind of nut is this?
oh good, ask Sully that while I go get Aurora.
Well, that's an acorn oak tree. That's a special kind. It has a big cup. No, don't shake it out. I want to leave it that way, you see, so it's all together. That's all part of the acorn.
Now you have to do something to acorns before you can eat them, don't you? You can't
Yes,
just eat them.
they're very bitter because of tannic acid. And what people do, they pound them up and cook them and then throw the water away a couple times, and that dissolves the tannic acid out. And then they have about the same food value as cornmeal. And the Indians used them a lot.
They made flour out of them.
Yes,
bread.
made of flour. Well, they'd cook them up like a mush, you see.
Yeah, sure. Just don't go around cracking acorns and eating them because they're not very good for you that way.
You showed them how the hickory nuts that came
Oh,
with
we
parts.
didn't get to the hickory nuts.
Oh,
yet.
I'm sorry.
Here's the hickory nut that has had the husk off it, and here's the one that's showing the husk that splits. Right, that's how it looks after it comes off. See, so it's easier to get off than the walnut.
And if you want your food to taste good, you put some of these on the fire there and get some smoke from it.
Oh, right. You go to the grocery store and you see hickory smoked ham and hickory smoked bacon.
You can buy little bags of hickory wood too.
And this is a
Hickory nut?
hickory nut. And there are lots of kinds of hickory nuts. Now, if you live down south in Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi and places like that, you probably find a lot of this kind of nut. These are pecans.
Which is a kind of hickory nut.
Yeah, right, related to the hickory nuts. And
Well, it
that's-
is a hickory nut.
Yeah. And the hull comes off, splits
These
off
are
too.
pecans.
No, those are hickory. That's a hickory nut, and here's the pecan. You can see how they look. You can see their relatives. They're just different kinds of the same nut.
Nice out of it.
Yeah. But pecans are long and thin. But I'm not going to open this because it's the only one that Sully has.
Right.
He has another one, but they're
I notice
sort
they
of
don't
rare.
split clear to the base, not quite.
Yeah.
They don't, whereas the hickory nut does.
What else do you gather to eat out of the wild up in your place in Maine?
Oh, these.
Let's see if I bet Ricky and Pam.
Cranberries.
Have you ever tasted a wild cranberry fresh
real
from the
ripe
bog?
one, real purple ripe one,
Take one. It'll be a little sour,
but not bad.
but full of vitamin C. Just think how good it is for you.
Oh, the
Aurora,
first.
Now, Aurora, you can have one. See if you can make a face like Pam. See, he doesn't think it's so bad. They probably had something just like that down in Peru. See why when you make your cranberry sauce at home, you probably put lots of sugar in. But it'd probably be much better for us if we could get used to eating them this way.
They're so sour.
It's just like Ricky says, it's all in getting used to things. Now, for goodness sakes.
Of course, I take that
a
squash.
visitor.
I take that squash, you know, and cut it up and dry it in the sun, and all the moisture. It's over half moisture.
Oh,
Take a piece of that. It's kind of leathery. That tastes pretty good.
You
It's kind of
didn't eat
sweet.
it?
Oh,
Sure.
sure. You can soak it up and cook it.
Oh,
know-
this comes off of, sometimes it comes off of oranges.
Oh, not like that. That came out of a squash. It looks like that.
out of that.
This is good.
It is
Yes,
good. Now, in
sure.
the old days, before people had refrigerators and freezers and things like that, they had to dry a lot of things to keep them.
Don't try to chew it too fast. Let it soak in your mouth a little bit to moisten.
See,
Can't
it's
even
much better for you than chewing gum. Much more healthy.
Let's see. I better
Tastes
turn
like
these
nuts.
things over here.
Isn't that good?
Tastes like nuts.
See there. Look at that nice piece of meat there. You like that? Looks that better, huh?
Yeah.
That's the first time I ever had dried squash. Now you've got a whole meal there. You got your potatoes for starch and your meat for, what's meat give us?
Protein.
Protein, and
Corn.
corn is yellow, so it has some
Vegetables.
vitamins in it.
I got some potato on there, you see. I could have put more on there. What we do, we just take more sticks, you see. Put them in different angles.
You also have some cranberries.
Right, and what's in that jar there that looks interesting and dry?
Those are dried mushrooms.
Now, are these mushrooms you found out in the woods and
No,
fields?
I
or
go
are these...
down to the store when they have a special on them. They get a little brown down there, and then I cut them in two and put them in the oven or out in the sun, and they dry.
You really like those, don't
Then I make a soup out of them, or soak them in water and put them in
Oh,
steak.
dear. You could put yes, you could put them
Do
right
you
in
eat those?
your soup. Yeah, they're not as good as the squash.
You eat this?
Sure.
You can.
Mushrooms?
No, they don't taste
Leave it
like
in your mouth
mushrooms.
and let it moisten a little bit, like chewing gum.
Just take a little piece, because this isn't as good as the
You
squash.
can buy you can buy them already dried. They're very expensive.
Some people string them on strings. Well, it's all right,
Tastes
Ricky.
like that rotten medicine I had.
Just like you say, you have to get used to some of these new foods that
Yeah.
you don't have every day. And then you had some dried blueberries, didn't you? You've got so many interesting things.
It's like
Yes.
rotten medicine I had.
I think they're good.
I don't.
Now, are these wild blueberries?
These
from
are
Maine?
wild blueberries I picked in Maine and put up on the
I
roof.
love
And,
blueberries.
of course, they're very small now after they dry.
Oh, yes.
Gosh.
But you know they were blueberries. Aurora.
Of course I know they're blueberries. They might not taste right.
Those will taste better.
Now, how did you dry these, Sully?
Put them out on the roof up where in the sun. Put them on an aluminum plate where they catch the sun.
Then you have to bring them in every night?
Bring them in every night, right.
These are good.
You can do apples this way, slice up apples and put them out in the sun.
There goes my dessert now. That's all right. You eat all you want of them.
Here, Aurora, would you like a dry blueberry? I think he's ready for another cranberry.
Yeah, I'll give them
Oh, he doesn't like the blueberries. Doesn't know what's good.
Now those can be used to
he
use in
wants another
cooking. You know,
cranberry.
you could
See,
cook those and
he
add a little
wanted
sugar to
another
them, or you can make
cranberry.
muffins out of them, or put them in pancakes.
This one's another cranberry.
Good. See, I told you he knew what was good.
Well, suppose we ought to sample this steak sometime?
Yes, I think so. I think
The rock's still boiling?
Well,
there's
let's
still
sample,
steam coming out.
let's sample this corn first, Miss Jean.
All right. And this is going to be straight. No butter, no
butter.
salt.
It's hot. Let's, shall I cut it in 2 or 3 pieces?
Well, we could.
Let me cut it in 2 or 3 pieces
Okay,
here.
you've got the right tools here.
Still hot.
Oh, I bet Aurora will love some of this.
Yeah,
Can you cut this one in half, and then I'll give Aurora a piece. He loves corn.
I love corn too.
Good. Whoops. I'll give Aurora that piece. Here, Aurora. A little hot.
He's blowing the curl.
I think that's done. How's it taste?
I didn't taste
A piece
it
for Ricky. And a
That's
piece
good.
We used to dry corn on the farm when I was a girl. Oh, we had big pans that had steam underneath.
It is good.
That's pretty good, isn't it, huh?
Mm.
Well, shall we cut a piece of meat then?
We'll have to eat our dinner a course at a time.
I'm going to use your aluminum foil, Miss Jean, for a plate here.
Okay, that'll make Pam happy. She's worried about plates.
Here's some more. I bet you Ricky'd like another piece of this. Pam.
That's good. Just enough. I can almost taste the hickory smoke.
I can.
Now, see that piece of charcoal on there?
You're going to put that back in the fire.
See, practically every bit of it comes off. See, no ashes on there?
There you go. Oh, good. This is really good.
Well, I think we'll make a good pioneer out of you yet, Ricky.
There's a bite for someone.
All right.
Don't cut yourself on the knife.
The other one was so hot, he didn't
There's
come.
another bite. Look how pink it is. That's perfect. Look at that. Just a little pink inside.
No pots and pans. Just keep thinking of that. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, this is good. Oh my God, it's terrific.
And look at the way Sully has it fixed so he doesn't have to stand there and hold things over the fire all the time. See, he's got a log to prop things up.
It's like
Miss Jean, for you, there's a little piece of ash on the other side. Just a little piece. It won't hurt you.
No. And these little arrangements here that hold up the stick, those are labor-saving devices.
We do that when we go camping.
Oh, does your family like to go camping? Good.
Yeah.
Now, would you like me to tell you another way you could do this without utensils?
Sure.
You dig a hole in the ground, almost as big as a bushel basket, so big and so deep. Line it with rocks like that inside. Build a fire in there. Let it burn for an hour or so. Those rocks all hot. And you take your fire out as best you can. Take your corn husks and line the inside of that. Or some leaves off of a tree like an ash tree or maple tree that would taste pretty good. Then you put your food in on top of that and cover it with more leaves and corn husks. And it sort of steams in there.
Now, do you have to do that overnight? Or
No, but it takes longer. It takes 2 or 3 hours to do it. Now, beans, they do that way, of course,
I've
overnight.
done beans that way.
But the beans take a long time to cook. Corn and squash wouldn't, you see. And then, would you like me to tell you another way you could do it?
Sure.
Well, potatoes and squash, you can take clay.
Looks like mud to me.
That's what it is, mud. And you put a potato in the center. Excuse me. Wrap that around potato and put it in the fire. And the clay keeps the potato from burning. But it gets hot, so you made a little oven for it, you see.
Well, that would take some getting used to.
You wouldn't do
it?
your meat that way. You wouldn't do your squash that
They've
way.
done fish that way, haven't they? I think
Yes,
I've read some
yes.
recipes
You
for
could do
doing
your nuts
fish.
that way.
Well, nuts are pretty good uncooked. I mean,
Right.
they don't have to be cooked.
Boy, Aurora sure likes your cooking, Sully.
She does? Well, good.
Ate the corn, and now
I guess I
gonna
better
try the steak.
Better turn this over. See how that's doing.
Well, you think Pam and Ricky, you can remember some of these ideas to try the next time you go out on a camping trip.
Yeah.
And you always have to remember, wherever you have a fire, to have a bucket of water to put it out. Somewhere. Oh, here's our bucket of water.
That's right. And also, before you build it, you rake the leaves and everything back.
And
so
put the rocks around.
So that
it won't catch me.
And look around where you are and see what you can use without wrecking the environment. Like, remember Sully's trick for where he goes to get his sticks? Where does he go?
Oh.
Along under the power line where they're going to be cut down anyway. So you won't be taking sticks out of the park or the national forest. Yes. Use something that's going to be mowed down anyway by the tree trimmers or something like that.
Yeah, they cut down a tree. You can get part of the tree they're cutting down.
And take it along on your camping trip.
Yeah.
Right. And look around for things that you can use that are right there, like nuts, cranberries, blueberries.
I was talking to my
blackberries in
yesterday
season.
about me if we wanted to go on the camping trip.
Were you? Well, I bet she'll be surprised with all the things you found out from Sully today, because he's been, how many years have you been doing this?
Oh,
38 years
50, over 50. Over 50.
So he's picked up a lot of tricks of the trade. And he's a good cook, isn't he, Aurora? Boy, Aurora really loves your buffalo steak. That's what we used to call it.
Yes, that's the common name, is buffalo steak. Well, now this, of course, is a little better. It tastes better. It'd be hot, so take it easy.
It looks good.
Well, I think the thing oh, it is hot. We're going to have to let that cool off in a minute. The thing I like the best is cooking in these little birch bark utensils in the gourd with the hot rocks. I think that's the neatest trick. I'm glad you could come to Hodge Podge Lodge today with Pam and Ricky and Aurora and me and my friend Maurice Sullivan from the National Park Service, retired, and learn some tricks for cooking without pots and pans, using hot rocks to get your water hot in a gourd or a birch bark utensil, using green sticks to cook meat and squash on, drying some things to take along on your camping trip, and using just nice hot coals to cook your steak. Delicious. Come back soon again. Goodbye. Thank you, Sully.
Nice to be with you.
This program was made possible through funds contributed by members of the Maryland Center for Public Broadcasting.
Pre-recorded in the studios of the Maryland Center for Public Broadcasting.